Toronto versus Oakville, where should you live? Well, in this video here, we're going to be comparing and contrasting their cost of living, their real estate, the education, the transportation, the parks, and more. So by the time you finish watching this video here, you'll know if Toronto is right for you, if Oakville is right for you, or maybe both. So if you're new here, my name is Matthew. I'm a local realtor, and this is my channel where I share everything about what it's like living in the surrounding cities of Hamilton, like Oakville, like Toronto. And if you are also thinking about relocating here, I've recently had a bunch of people reach out looking to buy here. So if that's you as well, send me and my team a message today to book your free relocation consult call. Other than that, let's jump on in and first compare just some general stats about Oakville versus Toronto. So Oakville's total population was just over 200,000 people, and this is located really on the tip of Lake Ontario and about a 1-hour drive away from Toronto, where Toronto's population is just under 3 million people, making it the largest city in all of Canada. And it's also located on Lake Ontario, just a little bit more northeast. Now, what you're going to be finding in these communities here is going to be a wide variety of options to choose from. Now, of course, because Toronto is a larger city, you're just going to get more options from detached homes, townhomes, and condos to choose from. With that said, you're going to find some great opportunities with Oakville as well. As if we first look at the cost of living and the data collected by the Economic Research Institute, which boils it down into the 4 categories we see here, we can see that the cost of living in Toronto, according to them, is more expensive than living in Oakville, with it only being slightly more affordable for the healthcare, where the other affordability, as we can see, are very similar if you're living in Oakville and in Toronto. And of course, like all other cities in Canada, the least affordable part of living here is the housing costs, as they are rated both a 1 for Oakville and Toronto. So let's dive in a little bit deeper and really understand what the differences are from living in Toronto and living in Oakville. And if we look at the sold data for the past 10 years for the average sold price, what we're going to be finding is that the Toronto average sold price is slightly less than Oakville's for the majority of the last 10 years. Now, there's a variety of factors that take a part into this here. Perhaps the most notable is Oakville is primarily going to be detached homes, and on that front, they're going to be large detached homes is the majority of sales. You're going to find a few townhomes and a few condo options, but not nearly the amount of detached home options. Where on the flip side to that, Toronto, of course, it's a much more built up city vertically, so you're going to find a lot more affordable options to choose from condos, from smaller townhomes, from bigger townhomes, and even smaller detached homes and large detached homes as well. So because of all these smaller real estate options, the average sold price is going to be less in Toronto. But if we break it down based on the sold price per unit that's sold, we can see that condos in Oakville are 8% more expensive, townhomes in Oakville are about 17% more expensive, and detached homes in Oakville are 23% more expensive. So continuing the trend, even though you can find some more affordable options in Oakville that are small condos, they're still going to be more expensive than some condos you can find within Toronto. Then if we take a look here and we see all the sales data that's happened in the last 12 months in both Toronto and Oakville, what you're going to notice is the majority of sales happening here is really going to be selling in Oakville above that $1 million price point, where as you can see, Toronto, just the volume of real estate that I choose from compared to Oakville is much more, but you also have a lot more of those options that are that $500,000 to $800,000 range. So if you are interested in learning more about the different real estate options and understanding where the market's at when you're watching this here, send me and my team a message today to book your free relocation consult call, where we can go over different homes that match your search criteria, what's happening in the market that we see, and what areas we recommend for your family. Other than that, let's take a look now at the transportation score and see how Toronto stacks up versus Oakville. And if we first take a look at the walk score, Oakville was rated a 42 on average, where Toronto was rated a 61. And this comes as no surprise, as the majority of Oakville is going to be a lot more car dependent. You have a few pockets that you're going to be able to get around easily with walking. However, Toronto, especially in that downtown core, it probably is a 99, a 100 out of 100 for walkability to get around. And then as for the public transit, Oakville was rated a 40, where Toronto was rated a 78. And this is because you just have way more buses coming every 5, 10, 15 minutes at least every 30 minutes, where in Oakville, the most regular buses are only going to be coming every 30 minutes. Also, with Toronto, you're just going to get a lot more options with the Toronto TTC, as well as the GO train going to be giving you more options leaving Union Station. However, on the flip side of that, Oakville does have a good GO train station, and Oakville GO as well as Bronte GO, that do give you easy access if you are thinking about maybe living in Oakville and commuting to Toronto. And then as for the bike score, Oakville was rated a 58, where Toronto was rated a 61. And this might be a bit surprising. It was definitely surprising to me to see that Oakville was somewhat similar to Toronto's bikeability, but I also think that's due to Oakville's biking paths that it has just throughout the city and the trails you can explore, where in Toronto, of course, you're going to be biking a lot more in traffic, and it can be a bit riskier when biking within the downtown part of Toronto. Then as for how the education stacks up in Toronto versus Oakville, and look at how they stack up based on the Fraser Institute rankings, which based on the standardized test, puts it in an index, and then rates them. Oakville had a total of 46 different schools with an average rating of 7.6, where Toronto had a total schools of 199 with an average rating of 6.72. And then as for high schools, Oakville had a total of 12 different high schools with an average rating of 8.03. And then as for Toronto, it had a total of 109 high schools with a total average score of 5.89. Now, of course, both of these cities here, like I mentioned, have a variety of options to choose from, and you're going to find schools that are on the higher side of that scale, that are above that average, as well as some that are below that average. So definitely go take a look at the Fraser Institute if you're interested in learning more about the schooling options available. But then as for post-secondary schools, you're only going to find Sheridan College really in Oakville, where you're going to have a variety of different universities. University of Toronto would probably be the most notable one within Toronto to choose from. So there's going to be a lot more options there as well. Then if we take a look now and compare the different parks and what you can expect to enjoy when living in theirs, you have Oakville. My two favorite parks would be Coronation Park, which offers 23 acres of a beautiful park right on Lake Ontario, as well as a variety of different jungle gyms and splash pads for your kids to enjoy. And it's also just the perfect spot to go sit by the water, pick up a lawn chair, because it is a rock beach, so it's not the most sandiest place, but it's great for skipping rocks. And then the other park I'll quickly mention that I love about Oakville happens to be Bronte Creek Provincial Park, and this is located in between Burlington and Oakville, and it is the largest park by far with over 1,600 acres to explore. We're really centered around a ravine that has 5 different hiking trails where you can go fishing in the fall time with the salmon swimming upstream, or you can go canoeing and just dirt biking, whatever you want. You can find a lot of options there. Whereas in Toronto, you're of course going to find even more parks to choose from than Oakville. Perhaps the most notable would be High Park, which is one of the largest and most popular parks to explore within Toronto for good reason, as it stretches from Bloor Street all the way down to the Queensway. And this huge park truly offers something for you to do when you have nothing to do on the weekend, or you can also take a ferry and go check out the Toronto Island and beaches to really enjoy a beautiful beach day on Lake Ontario. And then some other things I'll note here is, like, for the shopping and restaurants, overall, both you're going to be able to find your basic amenities done. Of course, Toronto is going to have a lot more shopping options to choose from, just from those mom and pop shops because of the sheer volume, but also the shopping malls are going to be much bigger. You got the Eaton Center down in downtown Toronto, which I know is a real popular one that I know a lot of my friends drive from Oakville, actually, that live in Oakville, down to Toronto for a day to go shopping there. With that said, you do have the Oakville Place Mall in Oakville, right along Trafalgar and the highway, that does give you access to a decent shopping options to choose from, and then you do get some small boutiques in the downtown part of Oakville. Other than that, when we talk about job opportunities, one of the things that's going to be consistent is, of course, Toronto's going to have just more job opportunities because it's larger, but Oakville is going to have some great opportunities to choose from, especially those office jobs. But again, the majority of people that live in Oakville are either going to work from home and have a separate room that is their office, or maybe in the basement, or also maybe they have a hybrid and they commute to Toronto or Burlington or Hamilton on a regular basis, where there are other job opportunities as well. And then as for the events and festivals that go on, because Toronto is much larger of a city, you are going to find many, many more festivals to choose from on a regular basis. It seems like every time I go down to downtown Toronto, there's something going on. Whereas in Oakville, it's going to be a lot more quiet, a lot more suburban than the Toronto city urban feel. So you are going to be noticing that there. With that said, you still are going to find some regular annual festivals that you can enjoy, especially in the summer months in Oakville. And then as for one of the areas that is great in both Toronto and Oakville, happens to be the healthcare, which you're going to find state-of-the-art facilities and great patient care in both of these cities here. So if you are interested in learning more about Oakville and what neighborhoods might be right for you and your family, the next video I recommend you go take a look at is my video covering the different neighborhoods of Oakville, so you best determine which ones are the best for you and which ones are the worst. So you can find that video right here. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.